From the Intellifluence headquarters in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona, this is the Intellifluence Influencer Spotlight. In each episode, we sit down with an influencer from our network and we discuss their background as well as their unique approach to influencer marketing. Mike Sherbakov is an award-winning speaker, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and leadership consultant. Mike is the founder of Greatness Collective and host of the Do Great Things podcast, empowering leaders with resources to change the world through their lives and businesses. Mike has worked with brands such as Fitbit, Lululemon, and Equinox, to name a few. Having served on active duty in the United States Marines, Mike has traveled to 55 countries and counting. You can follow Mike on Instagram or go to greatnesscollective.com or mikesherbakov.com to learn more. Can you briefly fill us in on what the Greatness Collective does?
Yeah, so the Greatness Collective is really just a community of people that are passionate about making a difference and creating a better world. And it really started with us going down to Mexico and building homes for families in need. And it's really expanded since then into this amazing community of social entrepreneurs, of purpose-driven leaders, and people who just want to make a difference.
Oh, nice.
That's great. And you've also partnered with a bunch of brands. Is there a partnership that kind of stands out in your mind that was memorable?
You know, looking back, never thought that I would be able to partner with one of the brands, let alone several of them. So Lululemon is always one of those amazing companies. I feel really blessed to have been an ambassador, and I'm a legacy ambassador with them now. Fitbit is actually a company that I've been with for about 4 years now. And we started a local community program here in San Diego that's now spread to 12 cities across the country. And really other brands like Zico and One Bar and Suja and Perfect Bars, these amazing companies that are passionate about creating communities and creating products and services that are creating a better planet. It's really cool just to be a small piece of that puzzle as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I see everyone using Fitbits nowadays. Everyone in my family has one, but me. I don't have one.
We may have to change that.
Yeah, right? I think about it sometimes. And can you describe social entrepreneurship and how it might relate to the work some influencers do?
Yeah, so entrepreneurship is really just being a business owner, right? It's starting your own business. Social entrepreneurship is now saying, well, how do I use business as a force for good? And we're starting to see the evolution of business. I call it business 4.0, where we had 3.0, which was people, planet, and profit, right? We moved beyond just making money to now considering, well, how are other people affected? How are we affecting our planet? And I really believe that we're moving into this business 4.0 model, which is now purpose. So it's people, planet, profit, and purpose. And I think if you combine all of those, that's really what I'm passionate about, is these social entrepreneurs. They're using businesses to create change. They're seeing a challenge in the world and they're saying, how do I address that? Not just on my own, right? If I'm seeing trash on the street, one way of solving that is me going and picking up the trash and putting it in the garbage. Another way is creating a business or a movement around it, creating a community where all of a sudden, thousands or millions of people around the world are picking up trash and throwing it away. So it's really leveraging the power of business, which can impact so many people and create so many ripples, and using that as leverage to create a better world.
Definitely. And then beyond your organization even, I see that you mentor people one-on-one. And I'm kind of interested, what are some of the common issues that you find in terms of those who are operating at a fraction of their potential, as you describe? I'm aware there's likely many different issues, but what are some of a few prominent ones that you can think of?
The biggest one every single time is mindset. It's rarely a question of what they're capable of, and always a question of what they believe they're capable of. And this happens on an individual level, just like it does on an organizational level. It's not a bad thing. I think that's important. That's something that I talk about often when I'm working with individuals or companies. I say, the fact that you're not at your potential, that's good. That means that there's a little bit of a gap there. I call it a divine discomfort. Like there's something they know they're capable of doing that they're not doing. And it's just important, number one, without sounding too woo-woo or out there, but you have to believe that you can do it. Every person that ever achieved something great believed that they could do it, and then they set out to do it. So that's ultimately it, is a strong belief in yourself and what you're capable of.
Definitely. It kind of reminds me of Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning or Purpose.
It's one of my favorite books.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, love that. Love that. And then in a recent post on Instagram, you reminded your followers that it's okay to live a life that others don't understand. And so at what point in your own life did you kind of break the mold?
Yeah, there were a few of those moments. I was in the Marines for 5 years, and there's a certain stereotype that comes with being a Marine. And I found myself, I excelled in that environment, and yet I wasn't the stereotypical Marine that a lot of people think of. I mean, and then when I went to college afterwards, I was in a fraternity, and yet I wasn't this stereotypical fraternity guy. And I just realized that so much of my life, I was a bit of this contradiction where I didn't do things a certain way just because everyone said that they needed to be done that way. And I actually feel the same way about business. This is why I'm so passionate about entrepreneurship, because I think there's a lot of people out there talking about, hustle, grind, make as much money as you possibly can. And yet I'm here saying, well, yeah, you can do that. Money is amazing. Let's create a lot of it, but let's use it for something that's meaningful to us. And so what I love is now there's kind of this new wave of entrepreneurs that are saying, well, I won't get into business, or I won't get involved with an organization unless it has a cause, unless it has a mission that I feel connected to. So those are probably the biggest examples I could see of really, not necessarily needing to have everyone understand me. And I look at examples like in Elon Musk. I love what Elon Musk is doing, what Oprah's doing, what Richard Branson's doing. And all of them are really different in their own way. And I can imagine that as they kind of, progress through life, there were some people that a lot of people don't understand them. They go, what kind of life is that? I don't get it. And it's not their job to explain it to anyone else. They're there to do what they need to do.
Exactly. It sounds like with your organization, you've really focused on addressing issues in the from the past. Like I was listening to the gentleman who started the charity water, and that was a really interesting interview because he built the whole organization focusing on every single pain point that potential people giving money to an organization. Every single thing that they don't like about like the CEO making a lot of money, or their only a portion of their money goes to it, like you address that. It sounds like you're really focused on that too.
Yeah, and Scott's done an amazing job with Charity Water. I love anyone that can take their background and leverage it. I mean, he has this background and experience in nightlife, and so he's taken that and said, well, look, I was in this industry and I saw how unfulfilling it was. Let me now leverage the power of the network, the power of the people that I'm connected to, and the resources I have, and then do something meaningful out of it. And I mean, if you talk to him, you'll notice a huge difference between where he was, this totally unfulfilled state, overstriving for more and more and more, to now he's created something so meaningful that millions of people have not only have gotten behind, but the lives he's impacting through Charity Water. I think about this stuff all the time. I gave a talk recently, kind of like a TEDx style talk on 5 important words, and it is, you are going to die. I know that sounds really morbid. I don't mean it in a morbid way. I mean it from the sense of, let's use death as a reminder for us to do what's meaningful to us during the time that we're here.
Absolutely. Jeez. It's important.
Those aren't the 5 words I was expecting to come.
I know, most people, they don't want to hear it. I'm like, it's true. Truer words have never been spoken.
Yeah. You seem surprised.
Well, I mean...
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Well, yesterday I was told, everyone always has one foot in the grave. So I was like, this is really, sad stuff to think about right now.
No.
All right, and with all your different ventures and areas of expertise, how do you structure your average workday?
I used to pride myself on having a super busy schedule, back to back to back to back. And this year, my theme is simplify. And I actually have more white space in my calendar than ever before. So I have certain non-negotiables. Let's see, I'll pull up this app that I love. So you can see cold shower, meditation, green juice, push-ups, and journal and write. So those are the non-negotiables that I do every single day, no matter what. And then outside of that, I'll schedule a few hours just twice a week where I'll take calls or, interviews or things like that. But the rest of the time is really there for me to creatively, to write, to read, to create content, to grow our community in a meaningful way. But I noticed that as long as I have the basics, those non-negotiables for me, everything else kind of falls into place.
Very nice, very nice. I want to get your take on this as an entrepreneur in terms of influencer marketing, the state of influencer marketing, and where you kind of see it headed in the next 5 years or so. As someone who is influential, I'm interested to hear.
Well, one thing I've noticed about Instagram is, in general, it seems like we're moving away from numbers, which I love. I mean, if Instagram announced recently, they're already doing it in Canada and in Australia. They're going to bring it to the US soon, where they're going to remove likes altogether, which is great because it does a couple things. It removes the social pressures of feeling like a comparison. And so it's not about how many people are liking it and comparing these likes to that like, but it's about just authentically sharing content. And I think because numbers got so inflated over the years, and it was so easy at certain times to build this big, huge following, people just want real. I mean, this is why lives are so important, right? IGTVs and Facebook Lives. And people just want to see almost like the behind the scenes real, because all they're getting is this filtered, highlight reel of everyone, and they want to know what's the real thing. And what I love about influencer marketing is the more real someone is at this point, the more of a genuine community that they create. And communities are kind of leaving if they're seeing that there's someone that they're not resonating with, someone that's just sharing a very different message, or that's not coming off as real, as authentic. They'll just leave. Because there's 100 or 1,000 other choices that they have, and they settle, they end up coming to the communities that feel very real for them. I'll give you an example. One of my dear friends, Melissa Ambersini, is kind of one of the most well-known wellness people in Australia. She has such an amazing community. So she doesn't have millions and millions of followers, but I think it's in the hundreds of thousands. And I was on her podcast, and after her podcast, we had more people sign up for our retreats, our house builds in Mexico, our programs from her community, which in the grand scheme is way smaller than other, communities that I've spoken to. But because they're so connected, I mean, it's that concept of 1,000 true fans. Have you heard of that? Yeah, there's this idea, I can't remember, Neil something is the one that came up with it, but he says, if you have 1,000 true fans as a business or an individual, you'll never have to kind of work another day in your life. And what he means by that is whatever it is you create, if you have 1,000 people that just love your brand, what you've created, that's all you need. And, to come back to the point about influencer marketing, it's not about having big, huge numbers, but can you create, 100 real true fans, 1,000 real true fans by being as authentic and raw as you can be? And I think the community naturally grows.
Want to join Intellifluence as an influencer for free? It's easy. Visit Intellifluence.com, click on the influencers link, and then click on the join for free button to sign up. Once you have registered, you will get immediate access to our influencer marketplace, where you can browse relevant offers from brands and apply on the spot. You'll also be eligible to receive attractive product and service pitches from brands. There's absolutely no cost to join as an influencer, so we hope you take advantage of our service. Also, be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and well, you know the drill. Until our next episode, keep being awesome.